Marissa, let's find out from Steve Kornacki what the situation is like at the big board there, and we'll come back to Marissa. Steve, what's the situation now? First, talk up to us about what's happening in Wisconsin.
Yeah, right. Let's take a look at Wisconsin. You put those numbers on the screen a minute ago, how razor thin the presidential elections always are, or certainly have been in the Trump era in Wisconsin. But it wasn't the case the last time there was a state Supreme Court election in Wisconsin. That was 2 years ago, 2023. And in that election, the Democratic-aligned candidate won by 11 points. That's a landslide by Wisconsin standards. Now, why did that happen 2 years ago? It forms the important question we're looking at in this election. These court races, state Supreme Court races, early April, these are much lower turnout elections than a presidential election. That's the highest turnout you're going to get in a presidential. Here, it's a lot more folks who are super motivated turnout to vote. And the problem for Republicans and the good news for Democrats in the last 2 years has been that the Democratic base, or a chunk of it, is a lot more motivated for an election like this than the Republican base, than the pro-Trump base. And that's what carried Democrats 2 years ago. Huge turnout imbalance. And there's two places in the state we can look. We're going to be looking at tonight, and that really told the story 2 years ago. One is, this is the heart of the Democratic base. That's the state capital, Madison, University of Wisconsin. This is the second largest county in the state, population-wise, 600,000 people. And what's it full of? It's full of voters with college degrees, professional class voters, higher incomes. Those are demographic characteristics that are now at the core of the Democratic base. And those are the voters, those Democratic voters in those demographic groups have been using every election, it seems, in Wisconsin and elsewhere as a chance to go out and register their objections to Donald Trump. Any level, any race, any time on the calendar, it doesn't matter, they turn out. So Democrats have that going for them. Meanwhile, on the Trump side, one of the areas where Trump did the best last year, why he won the state, they call this the Driftless area. Well, the name geographically has something to do with glacial coverage tens of thousands of years ago. But what we're talking about here is this is the Mississippi River here. These counties along the Mississippi River, just a little bit inland, we're talking about small town, rural Wisconsin, blue collar. We're talking about white voters generally who don't have college degrees. It's the core of the Trump base. The problem for Republicans is they've been there for Trump. They weren't there in that race for the state Supreme Court 2 years ago. Let me show you what this looks like as we compare. Let me pull this up. Here it is. As we compare Dane County and the Driftless area. This is what I mean. Dane County, 54% college educated, college degree. Driftless, only half that. Income, much higher. Dane County over Driftless. And then the results. In last year's presidential race, big Democratic win in Dane, double-digit Trump in the Driftless area. And then here it is. In that 2023 Supreme Court race, the Democrats did even better in Dane County. Look what they squeezed out of there. And meanwhile, in that court race, what happened? The Republicans didn't even win that Driftless area I was just telling you about. And this is why. If you use that turnout level of last November's presidential election as a benchmark, in Dane County in that court race in 2023, it was 2/3 of last November's level. That's astronomical for a state Supreme Court race. Meanwhile, in that rural Driftless area, it was 51%. Just much more motivation, much more energy in a huge core Democratic area. That powered Democrats in 2023. Less motivation in a Trump surge area that actually allowed the Democratic voters in that area to punch above their weight. That's why Democrats, their candidate, their aligned candidate, was so successful in 23. That dynamic has to change tonight for Republicans, or it's going to be a repeat of 2023.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.